Chagral paced impatiently by the dropship door. He was quite eager to assess the human situation on Eva, especially since the humans, out of all races, had asked the Grau for assistance. Formerly, the Grau had always been indisputably known as the Lords of War among the galactic community. Their culture lived and breathed conflict, for only conflict could draw out one's true merit. Indeed, Grau was not only the name of the species, but a universal last name for all worthy Grau, earned only through combat, since only those who had proven themselves could call themselves Grau. However, ever since the humans had entered the galactic community, their penchant for war and conflict had begun to rival even the Graus. Therefore, it was certainly a surprise when the human ambassador had requested Grau assistance on Eva, an uninhabited planet where humans had gone to war with a previously unknown and apparently highly territorial alien empire. Of course, honor was the pinnacle of virtues among the Grau. It was only this virtue that kept the Grau from conquering the rest of the galaxy, for what honor could be won from conquering weaker races? Officially, Chagral's mission was to evaluate the human's foe and determine whether the conflict was worthy of Grau intervention. Unofficially, the Emperor's liaison had also secretly given him a secondary objective: to assess the humans themselves and determine if their prowess in warfare was a threat. After all, only one race could claim the title of Lords of War, and the Grau may need to remind the galaxy who that title belonged to. Chagral felt the dropship touch the ground. "Finally," he whispered. The door slid open to reveal a battered and heavily damaged base. According to his sitrep, this base had been besieged for over a year by the human's foe. Reinforcements and supplies had seldom made it through, owing to the enemy's blockade of the system. Chagral's own dropship was only able to deploy from a stealth frigate, and even then only slowly, so as to not draw attention. Chagral stepped off the dropship and strode towards the base, where a single human officer awaited him. The officer approached him. "Mr. Chagral?" Chagral slightly tilted his head upwards and walked past him. "General Chagral, human. I am no politician. Now let us skip the pleasantries so I may assess the situation. Take me to the front line." The human silently walked quickly to get ahead of him, then guided him through the base. As they walked, Chagral took note of their weapons and supplies. Energy weapons, of course. Ballistic weapons, explosives, armored vehicles, aerial vehicles, etc. Standard equipment, as expected. What struck Chagral was how quiet the base was. The humans were certainly communicating with each other, but their voices were off. In Chagral's experience, humans typically spoke with such emotion and inflection, yet these soldiers' voices were flat and deadpan, almost as if a computer was speaking. Finally, they reached the edge of the base, where several humans had posted themselves in defense. The officer called attention to his men, who turned to face Chagral. And what he saw was unsettling. Chagral had looked into the eyes of many humans before. Most averted his gaze in cowardice, or looked upon him with fear. Some looked back with pride and courage, nearly worthy of a growl. But this was different. When Chagral looked into the eyes of these soldiers, he saw nothing. No fear, no cowardice, but neither pride, nor courage, nor resolve. It was as if they were empty. Chagral had a similar feeling only once before, when another mission took him to the edge of a black hole. Chagral had gazed upon the event horizon, and saw nothing but the infinite abyss. It was the only moment in his life he had felt a slight semblance of fear. But now, staring into the eyes of these humans, it was as if the abyss was staring back at him. The humans saluted him and their officer, then returned to their posts. Chagral turned to the officer. "What is wrong with them? I commend their lack of fear, but even I have never seen such a look before." It was only at this moment that Chagral noticed the officer had the same look in his eyes. soulless and desolate. "We call it the 1,000-yard stare," the officer replied. "It's what happens when we're under stress for too long. We kind of check out. It's like a ship on autopilot without a crew. Systems are functioning, but no one is aboard." Disciplined as he was, Chigrao could not help but utter a short laugh. This was the species that threatened the Grau's title? The officer silently stared at him. "Apologies, human. I was informed that humans reveled in conflict as we did." The officer motioned towards the battlements and guided him along. "We don't enjoy war. We do it because we have to, for one reason or another. It still takes a toll on us." Chigrao observed more humans as they walked, all with the same blank expression, this 1,000-yard stare. The officer continued. "My boys have been here for so long, day in and day out. We've lost hundreds, not a single day of rest. Suddenly, a soldier with a viewscope cried out, "Captive!" The officer seized the viewscope and gazed through it. He then pointed towards the horizon and offered the viewscope to Chigrao. Chigrao took the viewscope and observed a human soldier, hundreds of meters out, being dragged away from the base, surrounded by 5 alien soldiers clad head to toe in armor. Before Chigrao could speak, the officer called out to his men, "Snipers!" Ah, a rescue mission, he thought. The snipers would surely eliminate the enemy soldiers, then retrieve their comrade so he could face honorable punishment for his incompetence. Just then, a single shot rang out. Chigrao looked through the viewscope again. It was not possible for a single shot to eliminate all 5 enemies. Surely the humans were not that skilled. It was not the enemies that fell, but the captured human. The sniper has shot his own comrade. Chigrao lowered the viewscope and turned towards the human officer, whose gaze remained on the horizon. "It's better than what they would have done to him," he uttered. Chigrao could technically see the logic behind this action. A Grau would have been punished with death for allowing themselves to be captured. Perhaps the humans had a swifter notion of punishment. Chigrao approached the sniper. "Excellent shot. Your skill is honorable." The sniper nodded but did not respond. Chigrao then noticed a single tear descending from his face. He understood humans tearing as an expression of sadness, but the sniper's facial expression had not changed. It did not match the sadness humans usually expressed while crying, nor were the tears in the same quantity. His face only showed the same empty gaze all his comrades possessed. "Contact, 3 o'clock!" a human exclaimed. Chigrao looked to his right and saw several alien soldiers climbing over the wall. Clearly a sneak attack. The enemy force must have interpreted the sniper's shot as then being detected. Chigrao drew his sidearm, ready to show the humans how a Growl engaged an enemy. He fired 3 shots, each one soundly hitting 3 enemies in the head. Chigrao then looked and saw the humans firing at the enemy, each one eliminating their target. Commendable, he thought. As he turned towards his next target, Chigrao noticed one human, who continued to shoot a dead enemy. For the first time since his arrival, Chigrao observed a genuine expression on the soldier's face, one that bared his teeth into a vicious snarl. Rage, they called it. Chigrao's next target fell as quickly as the others. Suddenly, an enemy soldier leapt from behind the falling body of his comrade towards a human soldier. It was time to evaluate the human's hand-to-hand combat skills. The human soldier held his rifle up sideways, catching the alien soldier as it descended with a knife. The human then turned his body sideways, throwing the alien to the ground. Before the alien could recover, the human kicked the knife from his hand and then brought the butt of his rifle down onto his head with a thunderous crack. An excellent blow. And then another, and another, and another. The human continued to beat the alien's head as if in a frenzy. Though the alien's helmet had cracked open, Chigrao could not make out any of his features behind the blood and viscera. Meanwhile, The human did not stop his assault on his now dead foe. Chagral turned around, expecting other hostiles, but it appeared this attack force was a small one. One alien had thrown down his weapon and got on his knees in supplication. Surely the humans would return his weapon and allow it an honorable death. Chagral was wrong. The surrounding humans raised their weapons and rained fire upon the helpless alien, despite his incomprehensible pleas. In less than 1 second, the soldier was cut to pieces. Then silence. "Clear!" a human called out. The human officer appeared at his side, a spatter of blood on his chest. "Report!" Another human responded, "Riggs and Keating are KIA, sir." The officer furiously kicked a dead alien. "God damn it!" The officer turned to Chagral. "This is the bullshit we've been dealing with the entire fucking year. Those little fuckers never attack us in force. It's always these bitch-ass sneak attacks. Every day we wait here, knowing they're coming, but not when or where." The officer kicked the alien body several more times, then turned to Chagral. "I'm sick of burying men I promised to get back home safely. My boys are tired of waiting here, wondering if each second will be their last. So tell me, General, are you going to help us or not?" Chagral remained silent for a second, then composed himself and said, "Yes, you will have our support." It was not a lie. The humans had certainly demonstrated their skill in warfare, as had the enemy, if they had stalled the humans' advance for so long. His primary objective was complete. This conflict was worthy of Graal intervention. His secondary objective, however, was more complicated. Chagral halted his sidearm and said, "I must ask you, human, why does your species even engage in warfare at all if this savagery is what it reduces you to?" The officer glared at Chagral. "Because we fight for what's behind us, not what's in front of us. And we'll go through hell if it means no one else has to." As Chagral departed, he gathered his thoughts for his report to the Emperor. Humans did not fight for honor, they fought out of necessity. And since they did not fight for honor, they had no qualms with fighting without honor. As Chagral had witnessed, their pragmatism meant the humans would do anything they needed to for survival. They would kill their own soldiers if it meant sparing them from a worse fate. They would execute a helpless captive if it meant eliminating an enemy. They would push themselves long past their mental breaking point if it meant safeguarding their civilization. For the first time in his life, the idea of war made him feel nervous. Perhaps the humans did indeed deserve the title of Lords of War, if they were willing to pay any price for victory. There was no honor to be won by fighting them, only death.